Jack, what's the latest on the search?
Well, President Joko Widodo arrived to inspect the search and recovery efforts this afternoon. A total of 24 body bags have now been taken to Kramat Jati police station in Jakarta for further identification. But the bags contain the remains of multiple victims, so it's impossible to say how many of the victims have been recovered. DNA samples have been taken from 151 relatives to help in identifying those remains, so it's an ongoing process. With regard to the search, authorities are widening their search to a 10 nautical mile stretch. Sonar ships and underwater drones are being used to establish the exact whereabouts of the main body of the plane and indeed the black box flight recorder. Divers have also been down to look for human remains and parts of the plane. They went to a depth of 35 meters today, but it's the wet season here, so it's been quite overcast, and that's made visibility fairly poor, hampering those efforts. The day is over now, so the divers have gone home, but authorities say the sonar ships and the drones will continue around the clock to close in on the exact location of that all-important black box recorder.
That's the thing, having the black box will obviously give investigators hopefully some answers. Are we any closer, though, to knowing what went wrong?
Well, as you mentioned before, there's been some more details of the nature of the plane's previous flight and the fault that was experienced. So that's a little more has emerged today. An investigator said that the plane had flown erratically on the previous flight from Bali to Jakarta that on Sunday night. In the flight's logbook, issues were recorded with regard to instruments that measure speed and altitude. And indeed, the plane experienced unusual variations in speed and altitude in the first few minutes of the flight after taking off from Denpasar. This included a rapid 875-foot drop when it would normally have been ascending at that stage in its flight from Denpasar. And this is significant because similar issues were witnessed in the plane's movements in its next flight, its final flight, on Monday morning before it crashed. There were radical fluctuations in speed and altitude before it then dropped out of the sky. So this fault may be a significant factor. Fishermen who witnessed the crash from a distance said they saw the plane descending rapidly at a relatively horizontal angle with its nose slightly down before it then hit the water with extreme force, sending up a tall column of smoke. So more details are beginning to emerge, but we're still at the beginning of understanding, getting a full picture of what went wrong.
All right, thank you very much for that update, Jack. Jack Hewson in Jakarta for us.